Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. Communal violence has once again flared up in West Bengal, this time in the Mominpore area of Kolkata itself. Allegedly, post a flag during Milad un-Nabi was vandalized. We don't quite exactly know by whom. Angry mobs ran riot on the streets of the area, attacking houses and shops, allegedly predominantly of Hindu residents, even vandalizing a Durga Puja pandal on the occasion of Lakshmi Puja. All of this violence first started with an attack on the Iqbalpura police station, where mobs were caught on camera taking it over. If such is the state of the police, you can imagine the terror in the minds of the ordinary citizens. Similar scenes emerged from Mayurbhanj in Kolkata, where Hindu houses were attacked and people were seen leaving their premises. Leader of opposition Suvendu Adhikari has written to Home Minister Amit Shah, urging him to deploy central forces before BJP also carried out a protest march to Raj Bhavan this afternoon on the deteriorating law and order situation in West Bengal. Has this indeed become a new normal in Bengal, where mobs rule the roost and predominantly Hindu minorities in certain localities have become easy targets? No matter what the issue, what the flare-up. For example, the post-poll violence after the results were announced of the assembly elections last year, the target in Bengal remains consistent: Hindus. We will take those questions to our panelists in just a bit, but first a reminder of what's lined up. Coming up is an exclusive conversation with former BJP MP Swapan Das Gupta, who's written to the Prime Minister about the incident highlighting the state of Hindu minorities in some areas. But before we bring you that conversation, let's also break down what we know of really what happened. So a religious flag put up for Milad un-Nabi was allegedly vandalized on Saturday night. That was the trigger as far as we know right now. Angry mobs then vandalized vehicles and property, allegedly only of Hindu residents, pelting stones in response. Mob also surrounded the Iqbalpur police station and virtually took it over. Since then, cops have detained as many as 38 people for creating the ruckus in the area. And today, BJP State President Sukanta Majumdar was arrested as he was trying to visit the affected area. One of the questions that also arises is, why was the opposition stopped from visiting these areas? BJP has also invoked the memory of the ghastly Naukali riots in the wake of this latest communal flare-up in West Bengal. What were these riots exactly and why are they drawing this parallel? This ugly chapter of Indian history took place between October-November 1946 in districts of Naukali in Chittagong division of Bengal then. A series of semi-organized massacres, rapes and abductions of the Hindu community. This massacre of Hindu population started on the day of Lakshmi Puja and continued for a week. And this is why the BJP has sought to draw a parallel of what happened in the weekend gone by in Bengal and also around Lakshmi Puja. Now, it is estimated that 5,000 Hindus were killed. Hundreds of Hindu women were actually raped during this one period of massacre and mayhem. And thousands of Hindu men and women were forcibly converted to Islam. The reality is that major law and order disturbances indeed have taken place in Bengal just since the last 1 year, since the new term of Mamata Banerjee-led TMC government in 2021. It all started in May-June itself, post the result of the assembly elections. Large-scale, vengeful violence aimed at BJP workers and supporters, also Hindu community, post the assembly results. Remember, the BJP claims 57 of their workers were killed, and after much dilly-dallying, even the courts came down heavily on the law and order machinery with respect to post-poll violence. In March 2022, 10 people were burnt to death in Birbhum after being firebombed by a mob. And this episode was a major embarrassment for the party, the TMC, the party in power, as their local people were implicated. June 2022, violence in Howrah after Friday prayers against Nupur Sharma's remark. This violence also kept going on nearly for 3 days before the state government seems to get a handle on it. Again, largely Hindu community was under attack of rampaging mobs. And then September 2022, just recently, clashes between cops and BJP workers that just completely went haywire during the latter's Nabanna Chalo protest. It went out of proportion. Several people were injured. The police was questioned over its high-handedness and use of force. Just as much, the BJP was also questioned for violence during their program. So that's the big question we asked today. Is West Bengal law and order situation truly out of control? And is the state in any way complicit in letting mobs run riot? First, here's a little bit more of what happened, and then we debate.
Our administration is not capable to maintain peace in a portion of a ward, then this administration is worthless. They should resign.
अगर राज्य सरकार नहीं चाहते हैं तो सेंट्रल फोर्स डिप्लॉय नहीं किया जा सकता। ये मांग फालतू मांग।
First up, listen in to this exclusive conversation I had with Swapan Dasgupta, former member of parliament and BJP leader, who wrote to the Prime Minister today saying, the rampaging mob violence targeting businesses and property of the Hindu minority in the Kidarpur-Iqbalpur region of Kolkata is alarming. Here's more. I want to begin by asking you, from the facts that we've gathered from on ground, it is suggested that actually it was a religious flag put up for Milad un-Nabi, which was allegedly vandalized, that led to this escalation of violence in the area. So then would it be fair to project it as some sort of an anti-Hindu violence?
You've got to see it in a particular context of what this area is. This area has become virtually no-go for all administration, police, etc. It runs on its own steam. It is beyond the scope of any administrative or ordinary norms of civic behavior. It's in this context that we've got to see. Today, you can contrive a situation of saying that some Milad-un-Nabi thing, there's some flag was uprooted or something like that, some trivial incident. But the fact remains that there was no communal rioting. There was a one-sided assault on property by a rampaging mob, and the videos are telling testimony to all that. What exactly happened? What we are suggesting is that that the state law and order machinery has completely failed. Can you imagine a police station being taken over? Can you imagine a situation where it is quite evident from the videos that the police are going on tiptoes somewhere here, lurking behind, not taking any proactive role in this whole situation? Why? Because there exists a particular environment whereby some people, as a means of political empowerment, are allowed to do dadagiri. That, in a nutshell, is what it's all about. And this is happening not merely in that Kidarpur region, it's happening in various parts of Kolkata and in the rest of West Bengal. And we've seen evidence of this at every stage. There might not have been a large-scale communal riot in any part, but as we saw during the CAA agitation, the potential of it blowing into something out of control is all the more real. And large sections of the population live in absolute dread and without any protection. And this is what we are highlighting.
Okay. You have written to the Prime Minister drawing his attention to the panic of vulnerable Hindu communities in West Bengal to this ugly assertion of sectarian identity, which you say stem from the distorted empowerment resulting from a belief that one community is above the law and norms of civic responsibility. Can you share with me what more details have you gathered of what has transpired, why you call it a one-sided attack?
Because of the sheer evidence. Our teams have not been allowed to enter that area. But from all the videos and everything that is there, and I urge you to actually play some of them on your channel for viewers to actually see what exactly took place. This was not a riot. This was a one-sided attack. and attack, mindlessly destroying motorcycles, mindlessly attacking shops, which were closed incidentally because it was Lakshmi Puja. It's a that's really the culmination of the entire Durga Puja festival, is the Lakshmi Puja. And there were Lakshmi Pujas being held in small places here and there, mainly in people's homes. And in this environment, a mob goes on the rampage. I don't see anything. This is what I mean, that the belief that some people have been so empowered that they can stand above the law. There are enough statements of various ministers. I don't want to bring the political angle to it directly at this juncture. But at present, unless the writ of the state is seen to be running inside such areas, we are likely to get these sort of incidents recurring all the time. So what I'm asking is, let the administration play its role, let the police do its duty. If necessary, take the assistance of central forces, etc. But the display of political and administrative will is now necessary. Okay. Alas, I fear this is not going to happen.
Your senior leaders from the BJP, including the leader of opposition, Suvendra Adhikari, has talked about bringing in central forces. He's written to the Home Minister. We've got another minister of yours earlier wanting to go to the area but was restricted. What do you make of that situation? The fact that BJP leaders are not being allowed to go in. And one of the leaders speaking to CNN News 18 did say that we did allow 48 hours for the situation to be rested. As of today, what we are learning from on ground is there is no fresh violence. Should BJP leaders be allowed, and are more of your leaders planning to go?
Well, I think Sukanta Majumdar was he's the state BJP president. Yes. He was stopped from going there, and he was stopped miles away from the area. I think it's only right for all representative, democratically elected leaders to be able to go to and visit these things. The MLAs want to go. Suvendra Adhikari, who's leader of opposition, he wants to go. There should not be any restrictions on this. We should have a real fact-finding exercise. And if the violence has stopped, good. I'm glad it has stopped. But let us get to the roots of that violence and make sure it doesn't recur.
Mr. Swapan Das Gupta, you talk about panic amongst the Hindu community, the vulnerability that they are facing, and of course similar instances have happened or similar charges have flown from the BJP against the Mamata Banerjee-led government, both in this new term and in the previous term. There's also been an attempt from the BJP to link it to Noakhali riots. Do you believe that that is a fair comparison to make, or is that also sensational?
No, Noakhali riots took place in 1946. And it was a horrific thing. It's etched in the memory of all Bengali Hindus as something which was one of the most unpublicized incidents of the partition business, which Gandhiji stayed there for many months to restore peace. You see, Noakhali is just a symbol of what happens when some communal force is allowed to go completely unchecked. It was an instance of administrative failure, it was a failure of political will, it was a failure of all sorts of things. People suffered, people were grievously hurt, killed, forcible conversions, most horrible rapes, etc. We're not comparing normally to what's happening there. But what we are saying is, let's not get into a situation where there is communal polarization all over West Bengal. And I fear, if you don't stop this mindless assertion of Dadagiri, you're going to get into that sort of a situation where instead of fear, it will turn into hatred. And that's not a good idea. That's not a good thing to happen. So this is a preemptive warning. Situation has deteriorated quite a lot, but we must not allow it to deteriorate further. We must get the administration back in areas from where they've been excluded. There can be no-go areas in the state.
Okay. Swapan Gupta, finally I want to ask you, you're saying not only is the law and order situation problematic in West Bengal, and that's been a standing charge by the BJP, no-go areas, etc., police not showing enough will and there not being enough political will. Are you saying that life in general is in danger in West Bengal, but particularly that Hindu lives are particularly in danger in West Bengal? Is that what your stated charge is?
In certain areas, that is certainly the case. That is certainly the case. They live in fear. They can't sell property unless you sell property to a particular, community or something like that. The police, on the other hand, is acting with colossal indifference. There have been cases during the Durga Puja festival of people being murdered. Those were not communal incidents. But what I'm saying is that the attitude of the police people are completely indifferent. The police has been turned into an instrument of the ruling party. And that's really what its professionalism is today at stake. And we want all these normal administrative processes to be restored in West Bengal. There may be political issues connected with communal identities, but they have to be dealt with politically. Today, it's being allowed to go unchecked. One side is just being allowed to go on the rampage. And that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all. The polarization which is resulting from this is inimical, in my view, to the larger well-being of society. And that's why it's important that certain steps, harsh steps, are necessary to check this menace.
Okay, I leave it at that. Swapan Gupta, thanks a lot for speaking to us. We do await a response from, let's say, the likes of Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and TMC and the government at large in West Bengal. Going across to our panelists joining us, Bharti Ghosh is BJP National Spokesperson, Manojit Mandal is from the TMC. I'm also joined by Abhijit Majumdar, Consulting Editor, First Post, Shikha Mukherjee, Senior Journalist, follows Bengal politics very closely, and Dr. P.K. Agarwal is former Additional Chief Secretary of Government of West Bengal and a former IAS officer. Manojit, I begin with you. Why is it that West Bengal is becoming synonymous with deteriorating law and order situation? And forget about communal rights or not. I read out earlier instances of just law and order flare-ups that have taken place just over the last 12 months. Why is this situation prevailing? And shouldn't the government in power be held responsible?
In 2020 January, 50 people were killed under the nose of the Home Minister in Delhi. We talk about law and order failure in Delhi. And that was, by the way, state-sponsored communal rights sponsored by the BJP in Delhi. Nothing of this sort happened in Bengal for the last 5 years. And despite the fact that this narrative, quite nauseating one, it is well continuing for the last 5 years, and it is being fanned quite appropriately by some of the channels in Delhi. Until 2021, the people of Bengal have answered all these news channels, quote-unquote narrative, and everything should have been put to rest. But we know that there is another election in 2024, where again BJP has to come back to their favorite narrative of polarization, and that's why even if there are clashes between two groups, between two clubs, BJP will come up with their favorite narrative of politicizing, communalizing, and spewing venom like this. And when it is being done by an apparently educated person, the former MP, Mr. Sukanta Majumdar, we have to condemn it because he is doing it on national TV. Don't love the peace that we have in Bengal. We're talking about Durga Puja. We had a thumpingly peaceful Durga Puja, which was wrapped up yesterday with that very, colorful carnival led by Mamata Banerjee. We had a very peaceful Lakshmi Puja. Even today we are having Lakshmi Puja. You can hear the sounds of drums and loudspeaker from my place. Nothing has happened.
Yeah, yes, but you cannot deny that what happened in Mominpore also did happen. I mean, these visuals are not a figment of someone's imagination. This did happen. What happened in Bhirbhum did happen. The High Court in Kolkata has, of course, lambasted your government and the police over the post-poll violence. We are not making this up.
No, can I answer? These unfortunate incidents take place not just in Bengal, but even in other parts of the country, mostly in BJP ruled state, I gave an example of Delhi. What happened to 2020
We discussed Delhi a lot.
150 people,
That was
50
indeed a
people were
failure of
killed.
law and order.
So the
Nobody
fact-
gave a free pass to the Delhi police.
When a police officer in broad daylight murdered in Haryana, did you talk about that? When the girls in Hathras, the Dalit girls into a 4th September just last month, raped in EP, did we talk about that?
Yes, we did.
Law and order failure? No, we did not. It is only Mamata Banerjee who is singularly targeted for the last 5 years. Even if there are incidents which are very, very unfortunate, whether it is Birbhum or even this incident, you come up, you means the BJP. I'm of course not blaming you because you are very neutral media organization. BJP comes up with this kind of narrative, despite the fact that people of Bengal have answered them, talked about poll violence, investigated for the last 1.5 years. Nothing happened. No TMC leaders have been arrested.
Okay, let me go across. Okay, let me just go across to Dr. P.K. Agarwal, who's former Additional Chief Secretary in West Bengal. When such incidents happen, when police stations are taken over, as has happened in Mominpore, Iqbalpur police station, mobs enter it, police is nowhere to be seen. They're making slogans and even giving some sort of slogans to the rampaging violence and mobs. Is it not a failure of state police? Is it not a failure of state machinery? How else is someone expected to look at this?
Actually, such incidents are not are common. When I experience a disturbance state, so nothing to be panicky about it. However, because it is very difficult to prevent a very large crowd, unless fire on the crowd. So such incident should not be taken very seriously because such violence which occurred, this tension between the two communities, this is also minimal. However, the police should also be very professional. They should not only be professional, they should look professional in the eye of all the people in West Bengal. That should be ensured. And that is what lacking in West Bengal. However, I do not find there is so serious a law and order situation in West Bengal that you call as CRPF or Central Police Force, because such incidents do occur. And law and order machinery is there to tackle. And in UP, whenever there is an incident, they are not allowing the political persons to enter into the area. So
but that happened today in Bengal as well. That happened today in Bengal as well.
Yes, so this is all the part of the business. So this is not uncommon that somebody from the BJP side is being prevented intentionally, and this is the decision of the law and order machinery. However, police should not only be impartial, it should also look impartial.
It should be seen to be impartial. So that brings me to the central charge that the BJP is making, that the police is basically acting as an extended arm of the TMC, not so much the government. And the government is not being fair enough, because we predominantly see that when the violence is against the Hindu community, and there are instances where Hindu families are actually leaving the area, they're that scared. And it's 48 hours after the flare-up of the violence. So Bharti Ghosh, respond to that. Why do you allege that the police is not behaving appropriately? Bharti ji, I think you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
This is not the first time. This has happened in Nadia. This has happened in Murshidabad. Before, this has happened in Dulagar, in Howrah. And yesterday, what has happened is, is a recurrence of what has happened before. Indra Dhanuk, a lady of 55 years, lies in the hospital with 55 or more than 25 stitches. More than 40 motorcycles were burned. 4-wheelers were burned. Gumti, which are small shops, vandalized, looted, and people have left their homes. Now, what did the police do? The police abandoned the area, and when the police station was taken over, even then, the entire police was silent. This not only reflects the failure, inability, and unwillingness of the Mamata Banerjee government, but also a very active, I would say passive under the table, visibly passive, but latently very active encouragement of the wrongdoers to continue with this kind of thing. So it is not only something which has taken a communal shape, but it is something which is very political. The whole thing has been instigated, and there are hundreds of eyewitnesses who tells us that there is a particular person very close to a particular minister of the Trinamool Congress who had a meeting late in the night, and this was followed by this kind of violence. So why doesn't the police arrest them? Why doesn't the police arrest those people who are visibly seen destroying houses, homes and shops and other establishment of the Hindus? Why is the police passive?
Okay, can I take that to Manojit Mandal, especially the reference that has come to light, and there are people even from the Muslim community on social media. I'm not saying the police can go entirely by that, but the police can certainly be seen to be proactive. There are 3 individuals whose name has been highlighted by locals. 2 of them seem to be connected to TMC leaders. Manojit, can we expect a fair probe here? We know what happened in Birbhum for the longest of time. Mamata Banerjee-led government kept underplaying the incident, downplaying the incident.
Who is now investigating Birbhum incident? It is CBI. And I tell you with full responsibility that the people who were arrested by CID in Birbhum are still being interrogated by those same people. They could not make any fresh headway in that particular investigation. Similarly, here also, at least 40 people have been arrested. Those criminals, whether they are Hindus, Muslims, we don't care. We got the information that there are certain groups which were fighting among themselves, and because of that, what has happened has happened. I mean, what the very failed police officer on TV was trying to tell that those mobs should have been shot at. That's what they're trying to say. There was some agitation. There was some get out of the police station. The police talked to them, and the matter, and the police stop. You have been a failed officer. You are charged of corruption. Don't forget that. You are running away from investigation. Don't forget that. So please don't lecture us. The police talked to them. The matter was resolved. No violence has been there for the last many hours.
The police stations are no longer functioning. There is no police station in the criminal justice system.
The police
stations are being taken over by the hooligans.
Functioning.
So where is the police station? Where is the active policing? Where are the police
That's why you're goon.
Complete abandonment of the area. When such thing happens.
Look at this person who was a civil servant at one point of time.
We have seen yesterday Mominpore, and we are seeing this continuously over a period of time.
You have been, madam.
People are running
you have
away.
Been a civil servant. Don't behave so uncivilly on
chased
TV.
out of the police
you
station.
You have been a civil servant.
Where are the police officers? Where is the
that
government?
you have been a failed civil servant. You are proving on TV
From
that you are a
law
failed
and
civil
order
servant.
system, the word
You have been a
police is very
failed civil servant that you are proving
There
on
is no
TV
police
also
in law and
being
order.
so uncivic and so uncourteous.
Manojit, I asked you, one second. Manojit, let me come in. 2 of my panelists have not spoken. Manojit, the specific question I asked is that here 2 links have emerged, or at least allegations have been made that local TMC linked people were involved.
The links are being stretched by this failed civil servant on
please don't make personal. Please don't make personal comments against any panelist. No, Manojit, please let's be respectful. You don't need to attack her personally. Manojit, I cannot allow it beyond a point. Manojit, I cannot allow it beyond a point. You will not like it if a statement is made against you. Please just answer to the subject and to the question.
I'm answering to the subject. If a person who is a failed police officer.
No, sir. I mentioned there are people online, even from the Muslim community, who have highlighted the role of 3 people.
From a distance, this BJP people can understand who is behind this incident.
No, not a BJP person. There are people, other people who have made this charge.
Well, I tell you, the police has already arrested about 40 people. Police
and visit the injured lady in the hospital. Instead of lecturing here, Chief Minister.
Okay, let me bring in Abhijit Majumdar. Abhijit, the memorandum that the BJP, 1 second please, the memorandum that the BJP has submitted to the governor just now says that Hindus are being tormented, ruling party in state is backing miscreants, Hindus have been humiliated, harassed in Bengal and living with a constant sense of agony in the state. Cops did not take any action despite being at the spot. Stone pelting and looting happened in front of them. Are these charges valid, that the state is complicit, or is this also blowing it out of proportion? Abhijit.
No, absolutely. I mean, these are not trumped. I mean, there is a clear pattern, Shivani. Again and again and again, this is happening. You cannot, go by saying, blaming it on BJP, this, that, whatever. I mean, these instances have been happening. People have been, burned to death. Families have been burned to death earlier. People have been killed and hung from trees. We know about what is going on in Bengal. See, the thing is that yesterday, even as you rightly said, even Muslim handles from Khidirpur, Mominpur area, they have been saying that, listen, these 2-3 people are clearly behind this, and they should be, arrested, because even the Muslims in Bengal, especially the local Muslims, they understand that the situation, in this whole greed for Muslim votes, the situation is being taken to an extreme from where it will be very difficult to, handle the consequences of all this. You just compare the police action. Police is, police may as well, give up the uniform and wear, white and blue. Look at police response during the protests. I mean, they were beating up mercilessly when BJP were protesting against, on the Kolkata street. Look at yesterday's police response. Police was missing. They were hiding. They were completely not there. So
let me also remind you, after that BJP protest that went out of control, none other than Abhishek Banerjee came out and said that if I was in the place of the police officers, I would have shot them in the forehead.
I would have shot, huh?
And
yeah,
here
exactly.
we see the police is not even present when ordinary citizens are being attacked.
So the police know that they're, they also love their, jobs, no? They want their jobs at the end of the day. They know which side of the bread is buttered. So they are completely absent because they know that against this community, there is an untold law. And this is borne out by, by large sections of people in West Bengal that, it is a complete carte blanche. They can do anything. And that is not good for that community as well.
Okay.
They have, at least some of them have started to realize this. Because
ultimately it results in life, loss of life, property, and
yes,
obviously of just normalcy not prevailing. Shikha Mukherjee.
Exactly. I mean, if it goes into a whole vicious cycle of violence, and if backlash begins to this,
why do you have one?
It is not going to be.
Just
it's it's not going to be.
That's what you have been
Monojit, you were calling somebody uncivil just 5 minutes ago, for butting in.
No. But you are not a political person, I guess, sir. Are you speaking with BJP?
I
don't think so.
I may differ with your views, but I would hear you out.
No, but I was stopping as person who was speaking on behalf of BJP. You are not speaking on behalf of BJP.
No, I am not. Obviously,
so how can you malign my state like that?
You've been saying the same thing for the last 2 years. Hello. That's what I said. You have been saying the same thing for the last 2 years. You have been saying what? Come on here. No, it is my state as well. It is as much my state. What do you mean? Maligning my state.
You have been lying. Yes. You are running a footage which is actually played by none other than the black magician called Amit Malabhya. On the basis of that, you are making your commentary. Amit Malabhya has been internationally disreputed as a black magician, right?
Ooh.
He practices black magician, Mr. Amit Malabhya.
Who are you talking about?
On the basis of that, you are commenting.
No.
Are you the police officer? Did you talk to the police officer of that area?
Are you talking about Amit Malviya or somebody?
No, you are apparently a journalist.
How is it even linked?
One second. I think we need to focus on the subject. Manojit, I'll come back to you. Just hold your horses, I'll come back to you. Not like this, please. Can I just go to Shikha Mukherjee? Shikha Mukherjee, I almost get a sense that the TMC representative wants to believe that nothing has happened. Obviously, something has happened. Something has happened in Birbhum also. Do you believe that this carte blanche that Abhijit was mentioning, this is becoming a problem for the current West Bengal government, where even some of their own cadre or people associated with the TMC have in the past been caught, let's say, in Birbhum, and nobody seems to be in control anymore. That situation has gone out of control, even of the TMC and of the government.
I will take this question in two parts. One is that in the immediate context of the Iqbalpur Mominpur area violence, the situation is now under control, and because it is under control, I think that things need first all governments, all administrations do one thing in a communal riot, which is bring the situation under control. If it is under control, then things are working. However, and this is the second part of the question, which is that across West Bengal, there has been a problem of intense politicization of the administration as well as the police. And this is inimical to the governance of the state. There are enormous problems associated with politicization and patronage of the political class of local administration and local police. These are issues that the Trinamool top leadership, including the chief minister, needs to urgently address and change, because it will happen. It will happen willy-nilly that she will lose control of a lot of things at the ground level, and that is going to be dangerous. Why? Because at this point in time, the confrontational politics are in West Bengal, centering around the politics of division, which this Iqbalpur situation, I think, very clearly brings up, with Amit Malviya link, sort of comparing this incident to Noakhali, where 5,000 people died, where Gandhiji camped for 4 months, is a kind of exaggeration which is designed to instigate further exaggerated reactions on the one hand, and to sort of drum up a kind of frenzy that could result in a
further polarization. Clash. Okay.
It's a clash of the worst kind.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is where the larger overall control of the administration and the police
is required. No, ultimately, if the BJP benefits from any such episode taking place, then it is even greater interest of the TMC-led government to make sure such instances don't happen. Because yes, political opponents will try to take some political mileage of it. But Abhijit, you wanted to respond to the point on the Noakhali violence.
Yes,
20 seconds.
Yes. Let me intervene for a minute.
Yeah.
There is no way in which you can actually predict when a confrontation or violence will occur.
That's true, ma'am. But it is also on the state and the police the responsibility to nub it in the bud. You cannot allow mobs to be running rampage. Obviously, after 48 hours, it has come under control. That's where I mean. That it is in the interest of the state to bring it under control immediately.
Let us not exaggerate. I think one of the worst things that one can do in a situation like this is exaggerate.
I'm taking that point of yours to Abhijit. Whether the bringing of the Noakhali riots, as I asked Swapan Das Gupta also, Abhijit, was an exaggeration or a link that shouldn't have been drawn.
No, it's not a one-to-one analogy, which is what Noakhali. Obviously, Noakhali and this Mominpur, they're incomparable. But why the Noakhali analogy came in is because the timing of the attacks. You see, Bengal has in its genetic memory the fact that on Hindu festivals, Hindus had seen the beginnings of worse genocides. Whether it is Maimansingh, the Kali Murtis being targeted, or Noakhali when it started on Kojagari Lakshmi Puja. Even yesterday, yesterday was Kojagari Lakshmi Puja in Bengal, and the violence happened then. So obviously, there will be at least parallels in time in terms of timing, if not the scale. There is no comparison in scale.
Right.
It's gross. I mean, it's beyond exaggeration what happened in Noakhali and this one. But the timing, it hurts. It is hurtful for Hindus to know that in their land they can be targeted at will, especially
during
on
their
festivals.
Okay.
It is perverse, it's sadistic.
Okay.
It must stop.
Okay. Bharti Ghosh, very quickly before I go to Manojit Mandal. The allegation against you is that you're also using all of this politically and especially creating a frenzy in the public of West Bengal, possibly even nationally, because you want to raise the sentiment of anti-Hindu charge against the TMC government.
Please don't give us the opportunity to raise this charge. Arrest the wrongdoers. There are hundreds of eyewitnesses who have named these people, who have caused the rampage yesterday. We are waiting for the government to take action. The government's inaction in Nadia, Murshidabad, Howrah, and yesterday rightfully justifies our claim that the government is following an appeasement policy of a particular community, which they have given complete immunity to do whatever they want. And this is not our allegation. It is our stand against the Mamata Banerjee government. And we want the government to take action as early as possible. Otherwise, we will react and we will take action.
Manojit, I'll have 30 seconds only, please.
They are always this kind of communal. For the last 100 years, it is even beyond the doubt. Look at maximum number of communal riots, I repeat, take place in BJP ruled state. For the last 5 years, if you take the data, over 30 to 40% increase in communal riots in UP, in Gujarat, in Assam, in other BJP ruled states. Bengal is a very peaceful state for the last 10, 12 years. You have tried your best to inflame communal tension, but failed terribly.
Okay.
Look at this kind of competition. The leader of the opposition said that there are ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and so big terrorists in Bengal. That's not your love for your motherland, for Bengal and Bengali.
Okay.
Of Bengal
I want to give 30 seconds to the former IAS officer on the panel as well. P.K. Agarwal, given what has transpired earlier in Howrah, even in Birbhum, there have been instances, that took place just after the government came to power. Even the courts have actually lambasted the administration. Do you believe that the administration does need to do more? For example, in this particular case, the fact that local people are identifying the mischief, the miscreants in chief, and we're not witnessing any action. Do you think that's the least that should happen?
Yes, I agree. Because nobody is telling these areas, Mominpur, Mominpur, Iqbalpur, these are criminal infested area and smugglers den. So these criminals take an opportunity to take revenge against police. So this is a great opportunity for the police to arrest all those criminals who are involved and not involved, because they are the people who organize this crime. And this area, there's nothing compared to this is nothing. It's a simple criminal activity which were transpired by the criminals of the area, and this everybody knows.
Okay.
And so we need not be very panicky. I am sure the police will take very stringent action.
Let's see. Let's see if there's indeed a crackdown on the criminal elements you're talking about. But the reason we talk about panic, our aim is not to spread panic. Let me make that absolutely clear. Our aim is to discuss the situation in Mominpur. But there are stories emerging of certain residents and Hindu residents leaving their houses. That's not an ideal situation, and a remedy must be made of that. I leave it at that. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. Time for a very short break. On the other side, all the details of the latest wave of explosions, missile attacks in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv and 9 other cities, along with the day's top story.